Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the morning of October 20th, 2020. In this video, today is the 91st day since negotiations began for the next disaster relief package back in July. Today, we'll ultimately find out whether the federal government will be able to pass a stimulus bill before Election Day, which is 2 weeks from today. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be able to determine whether they can bridge their differences today, or as Republicans are whispering behind Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin's back, whether Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin will ultimately cave to House Democrats' demand. As I told you yesterday in yesterday's video, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Deputy Chief of Staff Drew Hamill, wrote on Twitter that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Secretary Mnuchin were on the phone at 3 p.m. EST for 53 minutes. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin was in the Middle East, and according to Deputy Chief of Staff Drew Hamill for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, both sides were able to narrow their differences, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tasked her committee chairs to reconcile differences with their GOP counterparts. Just to give you some background, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over the weekend made some progress on the top line number. Therefore, they assigned committee chairs to start to have their staff members start to work on drafting the legislative language for the potential deal. So among the sticking points, which shouldn't be a sticking point, include a pot of money for transit, global health care, Indian health services, the CDC, community health care, drinking water, and rural energy. Democrats want $143 billion for these provisions, while the administration is only willing to pony up $113 billion. They're not far apart, something that staff members in these appropriation committees should be able to work out. However, Democrats accuse Republicans of being unable to negotiate because of divisions in their conference, and Republicans accuse Democrats of being unbendable and unwilling to settle for anything less than that $143 billion demand. To top it off, both sides told reporters that neither knew what Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi agreed privately, making it a lot harder to strike a deal. The distrust. So can they make a deal? Potentially. Among Senate Republicans, they believe that it will require full capitulation from Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, which is not impossible. And both sides do believe that drafting the deal into legislative language and ultimately putting it on the floor for a vote to ultimately send it to the president's desk so he can sign it into law and disperse these much needed funds to all Americans is going to be tricky. The distrust for Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin among Republicans is very hard to overstate. Republicans in the administration, in the lower and upper chamber of Congress, all are, well, not all of them, but many are stating that Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin is a sellout and will do anything in order to cut a deal, including rolling over on long-held GOP orthodoxy. According to Senate Republicans who are involved with the talks, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has already agreed to more than $1.9 trillion in additional spending, plus $60 billion more for rental assistance. That means if right now the offer from the administration is at $1.94 or $1.95 trillion, then the administration is either at or above $2 trillion for a top line number for the next disaster relief package. That means that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would only have to slash her demand by $200 billion so they can meet. And potentially, she may be at 2.1 or perhaps 2.2. You already know that President Donald Trump is stating that he wants a disaster relief package with a top line number more than what Senate Republicans or what Democrats want. Therefore, they could be at $2.2, $2.3 trillion. So this is potential good news, ladies and gentlemen. I never say good news until the money is in the bank account, fully dispersed to you at your disposal to do with it as you please for your necessities and everything that you require in order to save this country. Senate Republicans are also worried that Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin will cave to House Democrats' demands, the big spending package for state and local governments, which House Democrats have said time and time again is to prevent layoffs of essential healthcare workers, police officers, firefighters, sanitation workers, transportation workers, teachers, and to fund essential services that we need at a state and local level. As you very well know, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has stated that he would consider spend a disaster relief package at $2 trillion. So he would consider it nonetheless. He told reporters in Kentucky the other day that his members would only be likely to support something in the neighborhood of $500 billion, and he is forcing a vote for a bill calling for more money for the Paycheck Protection Program loans, more money for schools, more money for hospitals, and business liability protections that, as you very well know, is being backed by the Chamber of Commerce, who is pumping millions of dollars in favor of GOP candidates in federal races, while the Trial Lawyers Association is pumping millions of dollars in favor of Democrats in federal races so they can block any provisions for business liability protections in the next disaster relief package. Senate GOP Whip John Thune, representing the state of South Dakota, stated that Senate Republicans' natural instinct, depending on what's in and depending how big is the next disaster relief package, will be to vote against it. He stated that it will be very hard to get 13 votes for any disaster relief package in the neighborhood of $2 trillion. As you very well know, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey, who is against any additional disaster relief funding, he stated he's against it. He continued to add and state that, listen, he's against any further disaster relief spending, and he argued that a disaster relief bill, a comprehensive package that that the administration and Democrats right now are negotiating and working out, will ultimately divide Republicans because of the contours in it. Senator Mike Braun, representing the state of Indiana, stated that, again, it would also divide Republicans. However, if Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell would put it up for a vote, that he thinks that it would potentially pass the finish line. Senate Republicans are more enthusiastic about this $500 billion deal, with money for Paycheck Protection Program loans, money for hospitals, money for schools, and business liability protections, because if they would be able to pass a $500 billion deal along party lines, then they can throw Democrats under the bus and state, listen, we want stimulus, yet Democrats block that in the Senate. However, now that Democrats know that the administration and Democrats are actually working out a more comprehensive package, that gives them a reason to hold out. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, senator from my state of New York, stated that the $500 billion bill is full of poison pills and that it's an offense to include business liability protections, a liability shield, during a virus pandemic. And as you know, he says that because the Trial Lawyers Association is paying him and his members to ensure that they block that, because they want to have people that can sue these businesses if they contract viruses or if anything happens due to them coming back to work or doing whatever it is, or being present at an establishment, so they can basically make money off of it, because that's where they're getting money from the trial lawyers themselves. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reportedly during a call stated that she wants to go big on the next package. They have to get something done by the election that's big, and that she did not want to pass on the elephant droppings, that's her words, verbatim, from this grotesque administration. And she stated that packaging business liability protections would be a nut that is hard to crack. Senator Rick Scott, representing the state of Florida, is enthusiastic that both sides are talking, and that also Senator John Cornyn, representing the state of Texas, you know him, he actually co-sponsored S.4227, which mandates and funds the SBA's full disbursement of the $10,000 economic injury disaster loan grant to all legitimate small business applicants. He's up for re-election, and he's told reporters that he's happy that both sides are talking, and he states that something should be up for a vote. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell can essentially say, listen, we're not going to put this comprehensive package up for a vote, but that would incite a fight with the president, which potentially may be highly unlikely at this particular point in time. I mean, regardless of whether Senate Republicans are whispering behind Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin's back, stating that he's a sellout. This is a smart man, ladies and gentlemen. He's not in the position he's in, regardless of any differences that you may have with his beliefs, with everything that he's done. He's a businessman. And in that respect, he's like us. So he's definitely in President Donald Trump's ear, and he's saying, listen, why don't you just go for the, I bet you at $3.4 trillion, he was telling President Donald Trump, take it. Why not take it? Because you're providing that monetary ammunition that people need so they can go out and spend, help save small businesses, keep people employed, and save this country. Because we're the only people that are going to do it, but we need that monetary ammunition to do it. The pandemic, the economic disruption caused by the pandemic was not our fault, ladies and gentlemen. So he knows. And he knows that there are no do-overs. If President Donald Trump loses this election on account of not making a deal for the next round of stimulus, when House Democrats right now, who have the ability to block anything that's emaciated or, quote, skinny, I don't know what he's thinking right now. I don't know where he's going at it with it. So he's letting them know, listen, it's just like if you were in a business. If you give people a $5 gift card because they're going to come back and spend an average of $50 to $100, or what companies like Best Buy, electronics companies, used to do, where they used to have loss leaders. I don't think they do it anymore because it makes no sense. For instance, with music albums. They'd buy music albums. You go to a music wholesaler and they sell you CDs. They used to sell you CDs at like $10. Electronics companies like Best Buy used to buy them at $10 and sell them at $10 because they know that person will come in, spend $10 plus potentially $100 on other electronics, $200 on a gaming console, $2,000-$3,000 on a television, or $500 on a surround sound system, and better. So if you could give that money out so people could come back and spend more, why not do it? Let me know what you think. Drop your comments and feelings in the comment section below. Watch this video right here for more disaster relief, stimulus, and economic injury disaster loan coverage. Click the like button if you like the video. Click the subscribe button and click the bell notification to stay on top of my findings when I upload them. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America and everybody else on this planet. Talk soon.